Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are untangling the unprecedented political and financial controversies that basically collided to threaten the very future of the 2026 World Cup. We're going to break down exactly how a single moment on a football pitch ignited a massive chain reaction, one that reached all the way to the Oval Office, Wall Street, and the absolute highest levels of European sports governance. If you want to understand the monumental power struggle happening right now behind the scenes of the world's biggest game, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, here's our agenda for today. First, we'll cover the red card reversal, then the political connection, move into the financial bombshell, look at the European backlash, and finally, ask the big question, will Europe actually boycott? Let's just dive right in.
Starting off with Section 1, the red card reversal and the drama on the pitch.
So it all started with a highly controversial micro-event. Well, I say micro-event, but it exploded into something huge. During the U.S. match against Bosnia and Herzegovina, right at minute 64 on Wednesday, U.S. star forward Folarin Balogun gets tangled up with the defender and is shown a red card. Normally, this means an automatic suspension for the next match, which happened to be a critical knockout game against Belgium. But over the next few days, something extraordinary happens behind the scenes. Out of nowhere, by Sunday, FIFA abruptly lifts the ban. They place Balogun on a 12-month probationary period instead, which is a move that left players, fans, and officials completely stunned.
Which brings us to Section 2, the political connection, and those off-pitch phone calls.
Right, so why on earth did FIFA suddenly reverse a standard automatic ban, especially when their own officials previously said it could not be appealed? Well, to figure that out, we actually have to step out of the stadium and into the Oval Office. President Trump personally called FIFA President Gianni Infantino 3 times to intervene on behalf of the American player. As the host nation, the U.S. obviously had a massive stake in the tournament's success. Trump argued that the slow-motion review made a routine collision look way worse than it actually was, and that penalizing a player for a future game was inherently unfair. From his perspective, he was simply advocating for a star athlete and asking for a fair review of a horrible call without demanding any specific outcome. But as you might guess, traditional football officials immediately viewed this intervention as a really dangerous breach of sporting autonomy. Former FIFA president Sepp Blatter pointed out that if a head of state can successfully lobby to clear a player right before a crucial knockout match, it completely calls into question the fundamental fairness of the entire tournament. Now, FIFA firmly defended the reversal using Article 27 of their disciplinary code, insisting their judicial bodies acted completely autonomously despite the political outreach. FIFA President Gianni Infantino maintained that, yes, while he did speak to the U.S. president, he clearly informed him that the matter was being handled by independent bodies. According to FIFA, suspending the ban was based purely on the specific circumstances of the incident, not on geopolitical pressure. And in kind of an ironic twist to prove their objectivity, they even fined Balogun $40,000 just for celebrating on the pitch after his expulsion. Moving right along to Section 3, the financial bombshell, and privatizing the game. While all that red card controversy was raging on, a second massive shockwave hit the business side of the sport. $20 billion. Just let that staggering number sink in for a second. That figure represents the initial equity valuation for a newly proposed commercial subsidiary to run the World Cup. At the exact same time questions were swirling about political influence on the pitch, news broke of this monumental financial restructuring of the sport itself. Breaking this down impartially, Infantino's plan involves creating something called FIFA Forward Enterprise. The goal is to raise over $4 billion right away by partnering with heavy hitters like JP Morgan and selling non-controlling interests to private equity. This includes figures connected to the Kushner family, specifically Joshua Kushner's Thrive Eternal. FIFA pitches this as financial democratization. For them, this is a revolutionary way to distribute unprecedented wealth, up to $20 million each, to smaller national federations that desperately need the capital to grow the sport back home. And that leads us to Section 4, the European backlash and UEFA's boiling point.
You see, the rapid convergence of a $20 billion privatization pitch and a highly politically charged red card reversal basically pushed European governing bodies right past their breaking point. The ideological battle lines are so clearly drawn here. On one side, FIFA sees themselves as modernizing the game, securing massive funding for developing nations, and maintaining internal judicial independence. But then you have UEFA. They look at the exact same series of events and see a governing body bowing to political pressure from a host nation and selling off the commercial rights of a beloved global tradition to private equity with absolutely zero transparency. The institutional backlash from Europe was just vast. It was immediate. UEFA publicly stated that the soul of football is not an asset to trade, declaring a line had been crossed. Belgium's national team manager literally compared the sudden rule change for their opponent to an April Fool's Day joke. Germany stepped in, demanding that active political interference be dispelled immediately to protect FIFA's credibility. And Norway echoed all of this, sounding severe alarms about the fundamental principles of fair play worldwide. The frustration was unified and intense.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, Will Europe Boycott? The Ultimate Leverage.
With tensions escalating into a two-front war over governance and money, serious discussions of a historic boycott have actually started to surface among fans and insiders. Because here's the reality. Looking at the tournament's competitive makeup, European teams accounted for a massive 6 of the 8 quarter-finalists. That grants UEFA immense leverage over the broadcast and commercial value of the event. Sure, FIFA holds the rights to the World Cup, but UEFA holds the actual teams that drive global viewership.
If UEFA actually chooses to flex that leverage by refusing to participate in this new enterprise structure, it could completely gut the profitability of the world's biggest sporting event. As UEFA explicitly stated, none of us are the owners of football. But if they boycott, that $20 billion valuation of FIFA's new enterprise could evaporate overnight. It's basically a high-stakes game of chicken where both sides have incredible amounts of power and incredible amounts to lose.
So as geopolitics and literally billions in private equity collide directly on the pitch, we have to ask, who truly owns the global game? Is it the governing body trying to financially democratize it, or the historical institutions fighting to protect its traditional integrity? What you should really take away from this explainer is that the 2026 World Cup has become about much, much more than just putting a ball in a net. It is a real-time stress test of global sports governance. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack all this today, and I'll leave you to ponder that final question.